So if you're moving to Las Vegas, if you haven't figured it out yet, it gets a bit hot here. And if you're gonna be moving here, this isn't like some places where you can do without air conditioning. Come here from the islands, you know, Hawaii, you know, you can have the windows open and everything and kind of survive. Ain't gonna do it. You gotta have air conditioning, and today I'm gonna talk with a person I truly respect, and we're gonna go over the air conditioning here because he's actually servicing my units, and we're gonna talk about it because you do need air conditioning. Stick around and find out about air conditioning here in Las Vegas area, because if you're PCSing here, you're relocating here, this is information you must have. Hey, if we haven't met before, my name is Eric. I'm a real estate agent here in Las Vegas area. Call, text, email if you need to know anything about moving, living, sleeping, getting some entertainment here in Las Vegas area. All of my information is below. Call, text, email, better yet, get on my calendar. My team and I are more than glad to help you out, to find out what you need to help you with your move to the Las Vegas area. I know you guys know that I love working with people who I absolutely trust. And this man I trust, I met him about 13, 14 years ago. This is Chris Bond with Bond Heating and Air Conditioning. Bond Heating and Air Conditioning. And the reason I trust him, I want you to look over here. These are my air conditioning units. You see these rusty, crusty things?
Make them run forever, probably.
Now, he said this to me 13, 14 years ago. When I PCS'd here, I was told by a certain HVAC company, because I had a home warranty on my house, and I brought them out because you're supposed to have your air conditioner serviced every year. People don't tell you this, because if you have a home warranty company and they come out for your air conditioning, heating, anything else, first thing they're gonna do other than that first year, if you've had a home inspection, is they go, can we see your service records?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, they do that. They do that. They don't tell you that.
I worked for a company that did that to a lady, and I was shocked that they denied her straight up. And she was all like, oh, no, I'm insured. I got it. Yeah, and then they deny you.
Yeah, they deny you. They deny you. So I called out a specific a certain company. We'll talk a little bit as we go through this. And they go, and two guys showed up. Two. Not one, two guys showed up. One to so-called service the AC, and the salesperson. One guy serviced the AC. We'll get a little bit into that. And one guy sat down with me to sell me new air conditioning units. This was 14 years ago. And he goes, well, sir, you need new air conditioning units. This was 14 years ago. Now, I'm gonna be very honest. 14 years ago. Now, these are what, about 25 years old?
Yeah.
These run on what?
R22.
R22, which is the old refrigerants. I think R22 was still in service back then, 14 years ago. You still could get units, right?
Yeah, 2012 is about where it stopped.
Yeah.
You know, they cut back and they said, now, so check this out. They said you had to go to 410A, and that was going to save the environment.
Right.
So now they're transitioning out of that, 410A. That was the good one, but now they're saying it's the bad one.
Yeah.
Now everything's going to a new refrigerant because they're saying 410A was worse than R22.
Oh, worse. It was worse. Okay. The government knew what it was talking about.
Yeah.
But they still had the R22 units, some still in stock, that they could get me a deal on.
Yeah.
You know, and gave me a nice little bill for like $20,000, and they're like, and said these units are only going to last you a few more months. And I was like, but I have a home warranty. They said, but sir, we work for the home warranty companies, and they're not going to pay you. They're not going to get you new units. So trust us, you need to buy these right now. That was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Next year I called this man right here out, honest man. And what did you tell me 14 years ago?
Probably we can just make them run forever.
Forever.
I don't know, forever is a little pushing.
I mean,
there's things that could happen that you would absolutely probably have to maybe switch it out.
But sugar honey iced tea happens.
Yeah.
But 14 years ago, actually now it would be about 13 years ago, you told me that we can make these last forever. They're kind of rusty crusty right now, right?
The industry's not going to like me for that.
Yeah, but they running.
Yeah.
After 25 years.
These look basic to me because, you know, there's a couple parts in it. I made it more, you know, it looks more sophisticated to me than it is. You know, there's only like 3 parts that you might have to replace. The fan's the most common thing to go out.
Oh, I had that replaced. I said I'll talk about it later. I believe it's either this unit or that unit.
I can tell if the wiring's. This one looks like it was it.
Okay, that's why there's a rock on top. They replaced that one, but you know what they did? Guess what they did? I'm not sure if you're the one who told me or not.
I don't remember.
They put it in backwards.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, and then I think it was either you told me to go like, sir, can I come show you something? You know this fan's in backwards.
Yeah, and then it overloads right when
It's
it gets
like
super hot.
I don't know how this lasted through the summer. Somehow it lasted, not for whatever reason, even though it had been a year, I called them up and I said, what you gonna do about this? But they did come and make it run in the right direction. So I guess it's at some point somebody, and it was not you, put that rock there so it doesn't vibrate.
Oh yeah, I on occasion tell my customers that because you know the noise, and so then, you know, these are hard to get. You know, I don't even know if you can order these, you know, the exact, you may be able to, I just, you know. So the rock put a little pressure on top of it, and it seems to be fine.
Yeah, it's better than paying $20,000 for a new one.
Yeah, but you know, certain contractors will tell you that's impossible, and you know, I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, I just try to make it work. That's, you know, it's like I always look at people like you know, like my relatives or somebody that I know, so I can't sit there and lie to you, and my face would probably turn red, and you'd be all like, "Oh, something's wrong." Yeah, these there's a fan, a capacitor, and a compressor, and all these parts can be replaced.
Right.
It's just the refrigerant now is harder and harder to get.
So, I mean, after 14 years, I'm sure there's so few people who are 22.
There's
still enough.
Yeah, and there's ways around it, but I just don't want to put it too much out there because it's easy for. You can find alternatives for R22.
I was just gonna say because I remember at one point you had a supply of it.
Oh yeah. We still have it. I can still get it. It's the alternatives are going up too, but not as dramatically as R22.
Okay.
So, yeah. And 410A now is they're trying to unload 410A to me, and that's what the majority of the, you know, this whole area got replaced with.
Right.
And now they're going to there's 2 other refrigerants now they're going to, and these are guaranteed to be better.
Guaranteed, like 410A.
Yeah. Until like 10 years from now when they tell you it's bad, and then you know they'll have to do another one.
Okay. Well, so what we'll do is we'll let you do your job, and we'll just talk while you're doing your job because you've been doing this how long now?
20 years.
20 years, so you know what you're doing. You could probably whistle while you work, right?
Oh yeah, no, I sit there. I have a habit of talking too much when people, they're all, you're working on my air conditioner, aren't you? And I'm all like talking to you about something else.
You can talk, you can whistle while you work, man.
And yeah, and then I'm sitting there and they're all, well, what about my air conditioner? I'm all, oh yeah, it's fine.
I mean, because what I really feel bad about is we started jawboning for about 26 minutes about real estate and stuff, and I'm like, this should have been on tape too, because we were talking about all kinds of other stuff around the valley and how, you know, I talked to the president of a major real estate company and the amount of time that's still left to build houses here and all this. It's like, we're surrounded by desert and you can keep building houses. Like, no, you can't. The soil is not conducive for it and all this
When
stuff.
I first moved here in 2004, there was a contractor that built a whole complex. I don't know if you were here then.
The one in North Las Vegas?
That started to collapse, you know, the cracks.
Yeah, the one in North Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember that was a long time ago.
Well, no, what it is they didn't compact the soil properly.
Yeah.
And that's maybe what she's talking about, because the soil outside of the areas they're talking about, the swapping the lands with the federal government. The president of this, I don't want to mention the exact builder, just like, you know, the soils just don't work for building. And not only that, even with that, you still got to have other commercial stuff that needs to be done. So even when that all of that is done, you still need roads, you still need shopping centers. So when you release all of that, a certain amount can be released for building houses, but you need shopping centers. Somebody wants a Smith's and Albertsons or something like that. Somebody needs a gym to go to. So only a certain amount can be allocated to that. And then with all this other stuff I hadn't even thought about, it still takes years and years just to go through all of the planning stages just to get to a house.
Yeah, I never even thought about some of that stuff you said, and I'm like, oh, I just thought you could build and then just start building that direction, That's good. It's good for us. That was good for me since I.
Yeah, so now the ACs are on.
So basically, you can see right here in R22, that's the green right here. My gauges, I should have had nicer gauges. I would have brought nicer gauges. But right here is the pressure. And so that's the temperature. So if it's about 42 degrees, which, for an AC unit, that's basically what you want, or 75 PSI. That's for R22. Which is the ones that should be outdated by now, and it's never going to work as long as it has, and it still has. It's like, so that's why we could just keep these going for a long time. So your refrigerant's good. You have no problem there. And then, just check amp draws, because it's all printed on, on the tag or somewhere around here. All the manufacturers are different. I'm just gonna take an amp draw without trying to shock myself of your compressor, and it should tell us what your compressor, see there, it's running at 6.47 amps, 6.5. So then what you do is you come over here. So right here, see R22, and basically here's your compressor. It runs, what's it say? My eyesight is 28.8. So it's below 28, 22, but it's running at 6.5. So there's it's running, as long as it's below that number, it can tell you that it's not struggling. Okay. So then that should be fine. Your refrigerant's good. And then the only other thing that pulls amperage really in this system is your fan. So you have to find the wire without shocking yourself what the amp draw on that is. So I think, yep, got a loose wire there. So since I had to do that, since the wire was loose right there, I'm gonna check your capacitors. This runs your fan, AC Pro. Let's see how it's marked right there? It says 5 UF. Right. So that's microfarads. So you take one side off and then you set this to microfarads.
Now I have a quick question. How much do one of these capacitors cost?
Oh, they're not that expensive. That's like a contractor secret.
About how much?
Oh, about $5.
Okay, we'll finish up with this and I'll tell you something.
Oh, okay. But it depends on the capacitor. This one could go for a little bit more, but what they do, it's more like a mechanics thing. When you go get a motor, the motor's way cheaper than, when he installs it. It's all there's a standard price. But then they do go quite high sometimes if you don't know the difference. Some of these companies, well, no, they're all innocent. But see, so it says 4.593 on there when I test it. And this is a 5, so it's good. If it was like 2.5 or 3.5, then you'd have to consider maybe, swapping it out. And then, so here's your, this for your compressor right here, this capacitor. So there's either one or two usually, depending on whether the fan's been replaced or the capacitor went bad. But see, so this says it's an 80. So here we get a reading and 79.5. So it's still good. Okay. Because 79.5 is pretty close to 80. It's not significant enough to. You had a loose wire in here. I want to make sure by the time I still pulled it in. Okay, so I'm going to turn it back on. So basically, you have capacitors, a contactor, a fan, and a compressor out here. Those are the major components of an air conditioner. So, I do a lot of repairs, so I just replace the parts and put this back in. So there it goes again. And then I'm gonna put this all back. So somebody charged you a pretty good price for a capacitor, I suppose.
Yeah, gave me a great military discount, $235.
$235 for the capacitor and everything?
Yeah.
It's, you're gonna see a lot of that. Like I've seen way worse. I've seen, oh, you wouldn't believe, $600 that people have paid. So check this out. I had this lady, she had her capacitors, right? A company said, oh, you got to replace this unit. And so she kept the capacitors. They were bubbled on top, which means they're not going to work. And so she goes, this is what they said was wrong with it. And I was all like, well, you know, that could have been easily replaced. And she's all like, oh, well, I wanted to replace it anyway. And I said, oh, okay. And so then I checked her unit and I told her, you know, gave her a decent price and everything. And then I didn't even charge her anything. And she wrote a nasty review to me. I don't know if I should have told that story, but it's just like capacitors are the most common thing that goes out. And so if you don't know what those are, you know, it'll stop your whole unit. And yours is running fine still.
So something tells me that capacitors are the greatest capacity for grift.
Well, at the price that guy charged you, to tell you the truth, it's not that bad.
No, what I mean by that is if a capacitor actually went bad, they could come out and say, oh, you need a whole new unit.
Yeah. It is a business and, you know, but I bet you there's a large percentage of air conditioners that are replaced that are just capacitors. That's why I basically told you that story, because she could have, you know, she could have fixed her problem for about $200, $250. And she ended up buying a whole new unit. And then I tried to be nice and tell her kind of what had happened, but she didn't really care. And then when I checked her other unit and gave her a reasonable price, I'm not one for charging too much for it. And then she wrote me a bad review. So it's just, but it's very common. If you know what a capacitor is, you're probably ahead of the game, you know. At least you know that that's the most common, one of the most common problems. And your fan will stop. That's another problem. But the compressors are usually pretty strong. The compressors have safeties in them. So even if your fan stops, which is the most common problem, right? So let's say this fan stops and it goes hot in your house all of a sudden. That can, you know, be easily replaced, and the compressor has a safety in it. So anytime that fan usually stops, the majority of the time the safety will open in the compressor. So although the fan's damaged, that doesn't mean you have to replace the unit. I'm always trying to fix things. That's probably why I don't have as much nice trucks and all that stuff. So. But everything looks fine, you know, as long as you check your capacitors, that's fine. Your fan, let me double check the amp draw on that. Oh yeah, I was gonna check it and then I moved something and then it didn't like it very much, so that's why I stopped. Let's see if it does it again. Please do not do that again. It's not doing it, so that's a good sign. And then, so you got 1.13 is amps. So what you do is because this one's been replaced, I think, maybe not. Yeah, I would have to look at the wiring, but we're gonna look at the nameplate on it. And it's gone. Oh wait, here it is. So it's 1/4 horsepower. It's gonna tell you the amp draw 1.3. So you had 1.13, so that's lower than 1.3. So it's still not struggling. I mean, these are the most common things to go out, and that's what would get you to call a contractor. Is a lot of the time it's a fan, especially during the summer.
I hope we helped you out a lot today with my man Chris here, because it's just so important that you work with professionals, and most importantly, people who aren't just here to take your money. Chris is one of those guys, and these are the kind of guys I like working with, guys with true integrity. And right now we're working on a list. Down below, you'll see a link where you can actually see all of the professionals that we work with. Go ahead, click on it. You don't have to do anything else. Just flip through, get to some of those professionals. I'm gonna even leave Chris's information if you have some air conditioning work needing to be done. Call, text, email. My team and I are more than glad to help you guys out. If you are in the military, one of my brothers and sisters, you know what I'm gonna say next. Alpha Mike Foxtrot. For the rest of you 50% or more, you know I still love you. We're gonna keep them lights on for you. And according to YouTube, you see this video's about to pop up? Go ahead and look at it, help me out. A little bit of HBO, help a brother out.